podcast to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent.
Hey everybody, Coach Angie here, and guess what? It is finally here. We're here for the Dynamic Pods podcast with Coach Angie. We've been talking about it for so long, and we're finally here. And you guys, I'm super duper excited about this first guest. I told him like probably a year ago, you will be my first guest on my podcast. And you're going to see why here in a few minutes. But y'all, welcome Jordan Jones to the podcast today.
Hey, y'all.
And we're going to have an awesome conversation. I already know that, but I want to share a little bit about him with you. And I'm going to, hey, let's just get it out here, because for those who don't know us, we are mother and son.
I don't know how long you wanted to hold on to it. Because this is your show, I was gonna let it hold the whole. If you wanted the whole episode to go by and not reveal it, I was gonna hold my tongue, act like I didn't know you. But truth is, I know you and you know me.
Yes.
Real well.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And it's like, people, we have kids and we have friends and all that stuff, but not always do we get to have kids that are friends, kids that are colleagues, kids that are people that you look up to and say, yeah, let's get this going. Like, I'm so thrilled. So thank you, Jordan. And now we'll do what we do good. We do this really well, I think. We prove this in life, that we can have people for years not understanding that we are mother and son.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but it's just people don't get it. They're like, wait, what? Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna interview this guest today, you guys, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. I know you will. And there's more to come, just so that you know. This podcast is designed for leaders like you, leaders who are high performing, highly productive, getting after it, getting things done, but also deserve a pause, deserve to give themselves permission to pause and reassess their purpose, reassess their alignment, reassess, what it is that they do well. And even though they do it well, should they be doing it? That's
a good question.
Okay. So let me tell y'all a little bit about Jordan. Jordan is the program manager for Community and Schools of Lakewood, whose mission is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. And they do that well, just so that you guys know, if you want to know more about that. His investment into the lives of young people started honestly when he was a young person. Honestly, I know that the residual effects of that, we're going to see that for generations to come. And I'm so thrilled about that. He may not ever see it, but those kids out there who are now adults are already proving it. And when he runs into them in the streets, they'll tell him so. Jordan is also the sought after diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and speaker. Yes, that's still a thing, guys. And he has a no nonsense approach that I appreciate very much, but it really is ideal for people who are ready to engage with their own biases. If you're not ready for that, don't get him to come be your guy, because actually he probably won't come. But if he peeps that out, he probably won't come. But yeah, no, Jordan, tell us a little bit more about your work and what you do.
Yeah, I think you hit it right in the head. What I tell people is because it feels like my whole life, I've been about students and youth. And when I'm speaking with people in small rooms or big rooms, I tell people the line I've got canned is, I've been working with students ever since I was one. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of got put into it and then never left. And if somebody would have told me when I was younger, like when I was still in school, that you could just work with students without necessarily being a public education teacher, which no shade at all. I almost did that, but I would have jumped on it sooner, a lot sooner. And so, but yeah, I think that my work has taken me to different places. I've worked with different institutions and different communities, community building, primarily focusing on resource navigation, collaboration, community collaboration, zooming all the way into individuals and families, building relationships there. It's really cool when you can go to your local grocery store and you know those kids, or I've I've crossed over to the point to where now I see kids that aren't kids anymore, which is weird because I don't feel like, but I don't know, the years go by and you don't realize like, oh, that's that kid and they're 28. And you're like, my bad, you ain't a child no more. But yeah, my work's taking me there, different rooms, different speaking conferences sometimes. Really, I'm just here for people who are, like she said in the intro, ready to get after it, ready to, and I want to clarify something that I think is really important, because I truly believe that in growth, and I truly believe that everyone should be allowed to assess where they are now and wherever that starting point is. And starting point is a weird thing because growth in progress is not linear.
Sure.
However, like I'm down for anybody who's willing to grow. As the time has gone on and in this work, what my addendum is for myself, and it's only for me. I don't prescribe this for everybody. It's just like, I don't gotta do that growth with you depending on where you're starting. If you're starting in a place of, let's take racism. Let's do the big R. We said the R. We said it out loud real fast. Racism. If your starting point is currently denial,
Sure,
don't call me.
Right.
For the work anyway. Like I'm not here for that. But if your starting point in that category is I think and maybe, and I'm probably like, and you may still carry some limiting or harmful beliefs, but you're like willing to engage that. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So like, to be clear, it's not like I'm not looking for people who are quote unquote already there, because who the heck is already there? That's another trap we don't talk about now. But like, I'm here for like, if we ready to get after and we ready to be honest with ourselves and honest with others and do the messy work together earnestly, man, I'm here for it. So yeah, that's kind of where my work's taking me. A lot of schoolwork. I do a lot of work in schools, local communities, local school districts, working with individual students, administrators, district administrators, and everything in between. And so I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you say, even when you describe all of that you just did, and I think about your mission of community and schools, even of Lakewood, and how that last part there, to achieve in life.
Right.
And for the school districts that you guys are primarily in here in the local area, they need to be able to talk through all of that stuff because they're navigating that stuff. So if they're going to achieve in life, they need to have people working with them who are aware, not just aware, but also willing to sit and do the work with them.
It's a mixed bag, right? I think we don't have time right now to get into, that's a whole nother podcast episode about the education system. But totally. The short and sweet version that we talk about in the Office of Community Schools of Lakewood is talking about how, yes, we're always looking for allies. We're always looking for people who share the same values as us. And the education system, I'm not afraid to say this, and I think it should be obvious, the education system, like overall, is not built for the success of all students.
Sure.
In fact, as time has gone on, we see that it is built for majority, or it is not built for majority of students to achieve in life or to thrive. And so, to be clear, not to say that the school is full of bad actors. The system itself is so twisted that we look for good actors who are willing to fight a little bit and to rub up, and maybe that episode of Star Wars where they're trapped in the trash thing and they're trying to like push against the walls. Like that's what it feels like sometimes. We're looking for more people to push against the walls. And so there's a lot of humans, and I want to just make sure I'm clear about this. There's a lot of humans who maybe quote unquote like aren't doing the work per se, but it's not for lack of want. It's not for lack of desire. The requirements and the pressures that individuals within the school system feel and are put on them is astounding, and it's massive and it's debilitating.
Wow.
And so like on one end, they don't have the time, which is what was the magic of community schools is what administrators and teachers tell us is we have the time to do the things they wish they could do.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so I just do want to make that clear. Like the system is booty, but the people within the system often are not.
Sure.
But how do you fight against something that's been going on for over 100
For
years? And so,
yeah.
anyway, so yeah, we love it. We love
Cool.
that.
So Jordan, you know, you've worn many hats. I know that, you know that. What's the thread that connects all these experiences for you?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's interesting being across from you because like I feel like that's part of it is throughout my whole life. I feel like what has been instilled in me primarily by you, and then people whom I've grown in reflection, being like these are the people who've really invested good things into my life. I think it's a dog. Honestly, it's a dog. There's a dog in the back here. Y'all might not even heard of it. Anyway, the through line really is about what can we do for others, and the through line is if I've got something that somebody else needs and I can give it, I should give it, and that's kind of been the through line. There's a lot attached to that. I'm sure people might hear a phrase like that and have their own interpretations of like what that means for their life. But I think that a through line that would be one would be like, this is how we do, right? And this is how we treat people. This is how we love on people.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like I've tried to hold on to, stay consistent, even through, you know, the nonlinear journey of the life.
I love that. Yeah. And I would think that with so much, you know, we've learned so much together. So much has happened. And then we, you know, in our family, like, generationally, we, you know, your grandma, and we know, you know, thank God for her and her being willing to tell parts of her story that we may not know. But because she has shared like she has, we've been able to see that through line even more so. Because I can if I'm sitting with her, I'm telling her, I watched you serve people from your heart and want people to grow, and or just, here's a piece of candy, I have it, but you can have it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I've seen that all my life. And so, yeah, I love that's continuing. And, you know, as we go on and we've got another layer of generation coming, I hope that we will be able to seed that to them as well. That's so cool. I love it. Okay. So we've talked a little bit, I don't know how much I really kind of got into it with you about my programming, the dynamic pause, and my approach to coaching. It really is this 3-tier approach. And I based it off of something that I walked through myself. But it came to me like, we deserve to take this pause. I work hard. I always have, you know, but I also am going 1,000 miles an hour, usually doing great things. It's not like they're things that are bad for me per se. But it took a perfect storm of a whole bunch of crap stuff that we won't get into unless the story really takes us there. For me to realize, like, wait a minute, hold on a second. This is chaotic. What I don't want to do is get up and be the same, right? So in that journey, 3 things rose to the top. 1, I deserve to pause to breathe. Breathe metaphorically. I don't know what the answers are going to be on the other side of it, but I just know the answers are going to be different, right? So pause to breathe. And that was so healing, and it brought clarity for me. And in those moments of clarity, I had to decide what to do with that, because usually our high performers don't pause to decide what to do with stuff they see. They just keep going. They're like, oh, interesting, cool, and just keep going. And then this moment, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And that's where this whole pause to negotiate came in, because I wanted to stop and negotiate with what I saw. What am I going to do with it? Make an actual intentional decision. Even if that intentional decision is, I'm not ready to deal with that right now. Or that would have been cute back then, you know, whatever the decision is, but be intentional about the decision. And there was some identity work that took place in that negotiation phase. And it's hard work, but it ended up being great. You know what I'm saying? And coming out of that, my last phase that I talk about is pausing to innovate. Okay, so now you did all that work. You let yourself pause. You saw what you saw. Now what? What are you going to do with it? And it doesn't always mean that you're changing occupation or something like that, but you might just show up in space differently
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying? And so, gave all that scope because I want to like ask you questions that may seem like they're attaching to that. So seeing where you might be able to connect that for the people who are listening, who might not realize they deserve to take a pause in their life. Right.
Okay.
So the first pillar, like I mentioned, was pause to breathe. And that's a clarity and reflection type of thing. But finding clarity in chaos, let's think about that. Okay. How do you create space to step back and gain perspective when everything feels like urgent or like,
That's a good one. I think the way that, I guess I have so many perspectives and thoughts on that. I think I'll just talk about my experience. I feel like it can be forced upon you in some ways. And I think that's how it happened with me, is things are so busy, so chaotic, things that you either inherit or things that you choose to do yourself. And sometimes that's a mixed bag of things that you inherit / choose to do. But yeah, I think when it comes time to like, how do you gain clarity through when things are just crazy? I think that's the time where, like, I think a couple things I'll think of. One, and I hate these talks. I hate when people give these talks and they talk about things that you don't have yet. Because one of the things that came to my brain was something that, like, hopefully you have this set up yet. And some of you are like, but the chaos is here now and I ain't got that. Go get it. Which is easier said than done. And I'm going to say that right now. Because we're talking.
Yeah, we're talking.
But I think that one is that when life, if you don't sit your butt down, life's gonna sit your butt down for you. And I think
100.
And I think that for me, there's some ahas came maybe the third or the umpteenth time that life sat my butt down. And I like to say, when it comes to growth, when you're a kid, you look at older people and people say it still now, but they said it when I was a kid, like, oh, they're older, they're more mature, they're older, they know better. You got to listen to your elders because they know better. And what I've learned as I've grown up and been in arm's length with people who are younger / and older than me, to watch people, I go, so here's what I've learned. People can make, I'm trying to be nice on this podcast. People can make unfortunate decisions at any age. People can
100%.
not learn from things at any age.
Oh, Lord.
And the opposite is true. People can process and stop and take this opportunity to trying to find chaos or trying to find clarity in the chaos at any age.
That's true.
And so what I've been grateful for, and that's how I position it, is I'm grateful for the fact that opportunities that when life has landed me on my butt, I've taken the opportunity to stop, pause, and reflect and think about it. And I think sometimes what I've learned in the recent years is saying no. I think that the first thing when chaos is going is so much of life right now, especially, and I would say life right now, I feel like we've been saying that forever.
I know.
But man, can we just pause right now? What's going on? Can we pause right now to talk about like what is going on? Life is so busy, and so you have to think of what can I say no to right now so that I can say yes to something that I want to do. And I didn't coin that. I inherited that. So shout out Carrie Pedrick. In that saying no to things is not always bad. And I think that's something I had to learn and grow from, especially from like how I came up. Is we were in the birth of, I'm sure part of the story of birth of this whole thing is like we were saying yes to everything. And I watched you say yes to everything. And so then I inherited, I'm saying yes to everything. And so learning how to say no and saying no is not being mean or unkind or missing out on opportunities all the time. Like sometimes it's okay.
It's okay.
So like you ain't got to, like this society tells us that we got to grab onto everything and you take advantage and you get ahead and you do this, invest now to do this. And I'm like, nah, sit your butt down and listen and take pause. So like what helps me in the chaos is having people that I can love and trust and actually earnestly listen to. I feel like that's been something I've been grateful for, is people in my life who I know I have the same values as them. I know that they know me, and there's a two-way street. I have to be honest and vulnerable enough with them so that they know what the truth is.
That's so
And
good.
then and then I have to be able to, when they say something, right, be able to go, it's coming from these people. I have to stop and listen. I
Sure.
have to think. And so that's one thing, is like learning how to say no. It's you either stop or life's gonna stop you. And when you stop, no matter how it comes, bro, don't feel bad if life is the thing that's putting you on your butt.
Right.
I think that's the other thing I want to say.
Right.
Is like, don't feel like, oh shoot, like I should have paused. And like I guess, but like
yeah.
you here now, so take advantage of that and don't fill the space with other things but reflection, with thinking. And sometimes it's need to get alone. Sometimes it is we need to get with friends. Sometimes it needs to be therapy. Sometimes it needs to, you need to write, process however you process. But I think for me, I had to step away in a healthy way, right? Not step away like as in like la 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 la, where you put your fingers in your ear, but step away, opening your ear so I can listen to myself. Like, let the true thoughts come, and like, don't put limits on your thoughts. Don't put a value system on the thoughts coming through. Just let them all pour
let
in,
them come in.
and then sift afterwards.
I love that.
Right? Engage them all, see where we at. Pass some of those off with people that you trust. It's all vulnerable. It's scary. But I don't know. I think in the chaos, it could be debilitating. And I think the last thing I'm going to say is just reemphasize: don't feel guilty if you have found yourself, like you realize, oh snap, I'm in a super chaotic place in my life. I have no clarity. Honestly, that is a step of progression.
100%.
Is when you see it.
100%.
It'd be like, oh shoot. That's good. That's a good sign. So take advantage of that and do something about it for yourself.
100%. That is so good. And I that was such a key point for me. And honestly, what I write about and what I'm really hoping more people will hear that, so that they give themselves permission to see. Because you won't see as long as you keep going the way you go, right? If you keep stacking,
You think you do?
you
Because I thought I did.
You honestly do, because, and here's the truth: you're seeing a lot, and this is not only for high performing leaders, but it is really crucial for people who live like that and who are leaders of that caliber, because you are affecting lives, you are changing systems, you are raising families, like whatever that is. And people outside looking in will tell you you're killing it, and they won't be necessarily lying, right?
No.
So we can get trapped in that thing by being surrounded by lots of good things that we're doing and never really pause to see whatever that C is for you, right? And that's what pausing to breathe does. If you just metaphorically allow yourself, because it's not somebody else, it's you. Allow yourself to do that, because then you will see the things that you just discussed. Like, it just automatically comes, and then you have a choice to do something with it, but you will see it. And that's beautiful. And I love that you talked about like that ecosystem of people. Because a lot of times also with high performing and highly productive leaders, we're used to being that person for other people. People coming to you all the time, all the things, right? And there is often not a ton of moments that you feel like you can do that. And so that's really encouraging. I'm glad you said that out loud. So let's talk about breathing room and change management, right?
Yeah. And if I could,
go ahead.
Just insert something.
Yes.
Talk about the metaphorical breath. Can we give a moment for literally breathing?
Yes.
Something that came late to me, and for any hokey stuff, be working. Okay. I'm the guy that was like, that's corny, that's cheesy, that's hokey. Call it what you want. You can call it what you want. If it works, who cares? If it works, who cares? And so literally giving yourself the tools
100%.
to literally be little spots of clarity throughout the day, and mental clarity, literal, we're talking about it seems like we're more swimming in the category of hey, can I taking stock of my life and what's going on? But literal brain neuro clarity is giving your brain more oxygen.
Yeah.
And literally breathing. So your kids probably have some sort of social emotional learning in school. Ask them about breathing techniques. Go on YouTube, look for breathing techniques, and look, find the kid stuff. I don't
For
care
real.
what it is.
For real.
5-finger breaths, like where you're breathing in as you're and breathing out as you're going down, breathing in, rainbow breathing, things where I know some of you maybe have heard of like different grounding techniques to like give me 5 things you can see. And
Yes.
give me 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you could things like that.
Ooh, I like it.
And what it does for your brain is it causes it. And if anybody is an expert in neuroscience or behavioral health, don't come from my language, okay? But what it does is it gives your brain a reset. It gives your brain a moment to kind of like recalibrate, get yourself out of the loop that we are always in, because this life just takes and takes and takes and demands and demands and demands.
Sure.
Gives you time to physically breathing to reset and be like, ooh, and then you can go into the next meeting or the next moment or the next conversation just with a little bit more brain capacity.
100%.
100%. It do a lot for your hormones too. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving health advice.
But it works, and you're right. It's what people have called hokey, right? When it really is like, do what you got to do. I mean, and even in that metaphorical stance, like how I even came to that personally was because of physically doing it. And again, life be knocking you on your butt. Life knocked me on my butt, and while I was down there, I was like, okay. And I learned something about myself, right? Learning that, and I think this is true for a lot of people. Voice is important. How you use your voice is important. You can't use your voice properly if you're not breathing properly. You really just don't. I was like, okay, I'm taking literal shallow breaths is how I've been living my life. Yeah. Literally just enough to stay alive.
I bet you some of y'all tongues is on the roof of your mouth right now. Let the tongue relax. Your shoulders is all up high. You're going to be like us with your traps all hard. Yes. That's genetic. Don't ask about that. Now listen, like let your shoulders fall a little bit. You're okay.
It's so true.
Look, if you're a mouth breather like me, it's okay to breathe through your nose sometimes. Let's breathe through our nose. Don't come for me. If you hear me just breathing, I'm fine. I have asthma. We can move on. I'm sorry.
Poor dude. I know.
I'm all right.
So we're talking breathing room in change management. Okay. So change initiatives move fast, oftentimes, right? So how do you advocate for or create moments of reflection when leading organizational change, or, what resistance have you encountered?
Right. I mean, this has been a big one because I've always been, before I was even with community schools, other places that I've been leading teams. I've been leading teams a long time. I've always been trying to figure out what's the pulse, how is everybody, and I noticed that it was a stark difference from institutions or cultures I was a part of. Sure, there wasn't a lot of like, hey, how is everybody doing? Yeah, it was a lot of just a goal, mission oriented. Sure. Whoever's on is on, whoever's not is not. People come and go, and like if you ain't on, then bye. If you is on, then like get to work. Sure. Right. And so I've always been about like and obviously like trying to learn how to do it better as time goes on. But like always like, how is everyone? And everyone who's moving in my direction or, on the same team, like, are we doing okay? Can we and try to really creating an environment where we're holding each other. It's cool because, you learn more, and what's been awesome for me in my journey in spaces where I've been looked to or been a leader or a supervisor, whatever. It's been cool in the recent like 5, 6, 7 years to learn language to the things that I was already like smelling or hinting at or trying to do. Yes. Right. And so it's and also just learning new things or adjusting or be like, oops, shouldn't have done that. My bad. But I think trying to affect change for me starts with how are people? How are people doing? We can't get anywhere well or with sustainability or longevity if we are internally being opposed to the values that we're speaking out loud. Ooh. I've been in helping roles, right? I've been in the I've been in human services per se. My whole like career-ish.
Yes.
My intentions I've always want to do. And so it's been awesome to always being trying to be like, are my people doing well? Am I tell me, and like I think I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit because I think I'm trying to like organize all the things in my life. And I think one is check on your people. How are they doing? Two, share power. The typical model of what we're presented in broader culture is this idea of you're the leader, you take responsibility, you make the decisions, it rides on you and falls on you, so everybody else just have to get on, right? And I think what the traditional model and the traditional idea of leadership in a lot of arenas has been is a sympathy towards the leader that turns into lack of accountability and an elevation above everybody else.
Sure.
And so I think that we can empathize with people all day, right? We can look to people like whether in any sort of leadership position or I'll say it in this way, a position that carries responsibility.
Sure.
And maybe carries a certain kind of responsibility, and that could fall for parents, right? It could fall for siblings. It can fall into you're a team member. Maybe you are a supervisor, maybe you are a manager, a business owner, a leader, whatever the capacity is. We can have understanding for like, carrying responsibility is hard work.
Yeah,
sure. But what maybe I'm trying to work backwards from is, or counteract rather, is the idea that because they carry this huge responsibility, they deserve more deference. They deserve less accountability.
Sure.
Leaders deserve to just, if they mess up, oh well.
Right.
Because what I've typically seen is it not be reciprocated the other way. Is that people who are not in those leadership positions, when they make mistakes or have room to grow or positions to, or things to learn, like just literal things to learn, the hammer comes down and it becomes about accountability, and you have to fall into place. And why don't you know this? And how come to this? And when a leader has room to grow or has things to learn, because it becomes like, well, they just have a lot of responsibility, and we need to practice forgiveness and these other things. And I'm not saying those things are not, but I'm saying like what I've learned when it comes to change management and like trying to like move towards an initiative with a group of people is remember that we are all just humans.
Yes.
We are all just people.
Yes.
And that in a lot of ways, if you are in a leadership position, chances are in some way, shape, or form, you're volunteering to be in that position. So like understanding that one, you're taking on responsibility by choice a lot of the times is like, you don't have to do this. So if it's turning you into a person, and I got to be careful how I say that because I don't want to say it like that. If you are finding that you are operating in a way that is antithetical to your values,
to what
then you need to have a check. Like that's on you, bro.
Yeah.
And it's not to mean that things aren't hard. You can't make mistakes. You can't grow. But then also going back to like change management, having that same grace for the people that you're leading. So have the same grace for the people that you're partnering with in this work. And I think that's the other thing is I try to really stay away from, and some people get on me because like, but literally it is, you are the supervisor.
Yes.
And I know that, but like, I really try to, again, trying to counteract the broader culture of this power differential that people typically abuse when it comes to like leading a team or like partnering, is like I really try to like make my language be like, these are people that I'm in co-laboring with. These are people that I am locking arms with. Like even the people that I work with who I supervise, I'm their manager, like the language is, this is my team. Yes. This is our team. Yes. Right. And not my team, Eliza and I own it. Like they say the same thing. Like, this is my team. This is my team. This is my team. Like, this is our team. And so one is slowing down. And that was hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. Slow down. And I had to learn that. It's so hard. Slow down. And then reconfigure what matters to you, right? What really matters to you. So like in our work, I'll use our work in particular. Our goal is to it's twofold. We work in, or I guess it's multifaceted, right? If you know anything about social work framework, we work at every level, meso, macro, and micro. And so like we work on individual levels, we work on units levels, like families and classrooms. We also work on systems levels. Yes. Right. And so it's really easy to get lost in the sauce at any given level. And whether it's just prioritizing that level or making what applies to that level apply to every level, because that's not what works. That's not right. Values do. Right. And that's where people get lost.
Yeah.
Is I want to make a change on the systems level, which means I need to advocate, which means we need to work. Systems don't go to sleep, so I don't go to sleep. Bull crap. First of all, we do go to sleep, so that we can wake up the next day and keep fighting, and fight longer. And so, like, you can get lost in what needs to happen at a systems level, and push, and to getting a system to value students, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get a system to value families. We're trying to get a system to understand that, like, basic needs are not extras. They're basic, which means they're rights, which means, like, everything else falls inferior to this priority.
Yeah.
But if kids don't got food, I don't care what else is happening.
Yeah.
Their grades are bad. Do they eat?
Yeah.
Can they sleep?
Right.
Are they housed?
Right.
Yeah. Things like that. So you can be going so hard in the paint of systems level, and then internally forget your values. And that, like, you can be like, let's say somebody misses a deadline on your team. And mind you, we have a really non sequitur, or not sequitur, that's what I mean, a really uncanny approach to it, an uncommon, maybe I should say, approach to it. Like, we're missing something. Like, we understand, like, sometimes deadlines are deadlines. You got to do what you got to do. And so we approach those a couple ways. Sometimes we're on it. Like, a lot of times I feel like we're on it. Like, boom, bam, we got you a good product on time. Sometimes it's like, I mean, this is the deadline. Here's what we got. And this is what we are. Like, this is just how things are, how things shake out, because real life is real life. Other times it's like, we're just going to be late. And that's just okay, because we value people over our product.
Sure.
And it's hard living that out in the society, especially when, like, some of y'all are like, but, like, deadlines, I get it. We report to institutions. We have grants, right, that have deadlines. So, like, I'm not saying it's not like I'm aloof to the fact that, like, sometimes that date is that date.
Yeah.
But I'm saying is challenge yourself in the things that maybe aren't as that feel less weighty. Hard work I had to do with change management is understand that sometimes things just really aren't a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
And we have to work hard to live out the values that we want, and which means sometimes we got to sit down and be quiet and let stuff happen. I was frustrated this morning at something. Something happened at work, and I was just like, saying all the things in my head, man, But I was like, you know what? It's all good. It is what it is. But I think that slowing down is a big one. I think that remembering that people are people, and that you are a person as well, and that you probably have things that you're dropping the ball on. You probably have things that you're so tired to get to, things that you know that are not your best. And remember that. It's funny, like, sometimes I'll sit with people on my team and they also supervise, and they might be like, you know, oh, like, I'm so frustrated with the people that I'm supervising. And because of the relationship that we do have, we have really good relationships. They were highly relational and highly understanding. So sometimes we'll be sitting in them, we may be talking about what they're dealing with the people they're supervising. And I'm just like, oh, really? No way they didn't call you back after you called them? You had to remind them 4 times? And then, we try to be careful because we don't want to be sarcastic or demeaning or anything. But stuff, like, I just remember this one time in particular where they caught it, because I was doing it on purpose and being over on purpose so they could catch it. And they were like, oh, I see. I'm like, yeah, man. So, like, it's all good. So what you're going to have to do is pick your heart when leading people and doing change. It's like, you got to pick your heart. Are you going to be just on people and creating attention all the time and being angry and being frustrated? That's work. Or you do the other stuff, which is still work, and we just don't want to do it, which is like, I got to remind people just a little bit more than I wish I would. I got to, like, some of y'all love this phrase, hold people's hands. You're gonna have to hold people's hands more than you want to hold people's hands. And look, and that's just the environment we're trying to create. Maybe you're not trying to create that kind of environment, but I want an environment with mutual respect. I'm tired of places where we have this idea that just because we're at a job that means that now we got to be cold and impersonal. Like, no, like, when I'm meeting with people on my team, it's like, you got kids, you got a family, you got things happening. Oh, this happened. You're going through this. You're going through that. I know I am too. And it makes it hard. And like, I took a day off yesterday because it was too hard for me. So, like, I don't know, mutual understanding, sharing power. We do a really good job. This is change management, really good job of presenting options to our team in a way that I've never seen before. When I first came on, and seeing it demonstrated to where it's like, there's a organizational decision, right? Typically, leaders would just do it, right? And say, hey, guys, here's what we're doing, right? We go, hey, here's what's coming down the line. What do we think about this, y'all? And we hear people from what I'll say like the base level, like entry level employees. We don't talk like that. We don't think like that either.
Sure.
But just to translate through the corporate community, like entry level employees, we have them in. And mind you, like, as I know some people are a part of bigger teams and huge, like we have about 30, but like, and it's become a little bit difficult because we started out as like 6.
Exactly.
But I know people have teams of 100, or maybe there's larger companies, and like it'd be harder. I didn't understand that. But the more you share power, the more that you have mutual respect and accountability, the more that you do these things, I feel the more that you can create longevity, the more that you can have people you can trust around you and people that trust you. And I'll tell you what, bro, like doing hard work, especially if you're fighting against systems at all, if you're doing any sort of advocacy work, if you're doing any sort of work that involves people, any sort of human services or coaching or anything like that, trust is a commodity you cannot undervalue. It is insane.
Yes.
And so, but it takes work. And you want to talk about being a leader, is you just, sometimes you got to eat it. Yeah. Sometimes you got to just be like, and that's my philosophy, is like, I'm frustrated right now. I'm talking about when things like when people are miss a deadline, or you're not showing up like they said they was going to. Like sometimes, like that's the other thing, change management, which I'll get to, but let me finish this sentence. Is like sometimes you just got to eat it and be like, you know what? Big picture, long work, we'll move forward. Yeah. Right. I know that their consistency and especially with people that you know who've shown it, like overall, I know they're here. I know things that maybe they're having a tough time or a rough time. But the other thing is, do not be afraid to have hard conversations. Have them.
Don't let it fester, right?
Because the longer you let that happen, the more awkward it gets and the more hard it gets for you. Because and the less that you don't have to come in with some weird shield of, I'm the boss, so I got to give this to you straight and give it to you hard and keep my emotions in check. No, let's all feel together. Let's all do it. And the quicker you do it, the less it becomes about that person.
That's
and
true.
The more it becomes about the thing. Just, hey, what happened yesterday? But we have hard conversations. And I think that's something I also had to learn, is how to have hard conversations in a way that is dignifying to people, in a way that is about the thing and not about the person themselves.
I love that.
And so, I don't know. Change management is hard, bro. Especially when you're like on an initiative, it could be easy to get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and it's really choosing to do it that way is very much so. It builds culture. You're deciding what kind of culture you're going to have by how you choose to engage with people in that way. Because even when you're talking about that old model and structure of the leaders, this, and then there's everybody else, right? Some of the common things that I can recall, even growing up and hearing, or as a young adult and even middle age, is this whole idea of it's not always said, but it's been said, this thought of, I pay you, so therefore dot, kind of a thing.
That's that slave mentality.
Right? And this idea that people lose their agency or anything about their autonomy because they come there and get a paycheck, right? And so because that type of thing, yes, definitely slave mentality. Also, it came from even just different classes from a corporate standpoint, industrial ages, whatever, anywhere where you're packing a whole bunch of people in to turn some cogs for you, and whatever that is in your area, this whole idea. And here's the thing, like over time, like even where we are now in this country, even though a lot of people are drinking Kool-Aid, there is a awakening that people have. And I think it kind of just hit really hard COVID time and just before COVID, but of, we could all die tomorrow. I'm not putting up with this, kind of thing. like what am I putting? Like I could be gone tomorrow and you guys don't care. And I was in a conversation with somebody else the other day, and I was like, this whole idea of, and I said this to someone that you know very well once before, when they tried to throw some economic stuff over my head and we weren't even married yet. But it's like, I will eat ramen noodles every day before I find myself in a space where I'm either truly not wanted or I'm getting treated like garbage. advantage, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's especially from a work perspective too. You know what I'm saying? It should be like that in every area of your life. But I'm just saying he's seen some things. But it's that idea of if you have to step into your leadership role from that vantage point, then that's an insecurity that's showing in you, and that's also a lack of human. You don't see people, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Value
And so, yes, and so I love that you guys are being very intentional about closing that gap. I've been using. We won't get into this conversation, but I was talking to somebody about our conversation that you and I have had just the other day, and it was talking about structures and systems and stuff like that. And so I use my hands to describe it, so I'll do it here. It's like when you're in leadership structures that are like this, and the leader isn't working to make it like this. The leader has to be the leader's the one who has to do this, even though they are in charge of making these calls and doing this thing, but they have to constantly be doing this. So that the whole thing grows together, like you said. The whole thing elevates together. If not, then it's gonna just fall apart.
Right.
Or a lot of people get really hurt, and people it becomes nasty. And just toxic, and
That's why I like to lead with values in that, like, because what I'm saying and the things, systems and places I'm describing to some people will be like, gross, I don't want that. I want it all. I want what I want. And like to that, I say, like, I guess, I mean, if that's what you want, like build. And I am talking about something very specific. I am talking about something that is very much influenced by what I believe is to be the best thing for people. Right. But some people don't have people as a priority.
That's true.
And so you'd be like, nah, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, right? Like, I know that there'll be a lot of like entrepreneurs, business leaders, other people who want this. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guest who is, if you want tips on how to make the most money, I don't care. And like, that's just me. Like my wife, like we talk about, I'm like, you didn't marry me for money, because I do not give a crap about a paycheck. In that like I will do something else. Like, a paycheck doesn't entice me in that, like, you could pay me $100K, $200K, $300K, but like if I'm not influencing people in a positive way, and making sustainable, good human change that will dignify and give people liberation and freedom, I'm not interested.
Exactly.
And I know some people that there are, and I want to say this next part in a way that, like, I'm removing value judgments to it. Like, there are definitely people we could probably, you and maybe a bunch of your listeners could agree, like, we could go off on, like, billionaires. That I don't know how you become a billionaire while being moral. I don't think that's possible. But what I'm not saying is, like, appreciating a paycheck or wanting to go for that raise or wanting to go work at, become a, I don't know, production, so you can make, 50,000 more next year. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm talking about just personally for me.
For you.
I'm not interested in that. I will, I maybe want to do what I did before, like take nothing and give everything.
Right.
However, like, I believe in compensation.
Yes.
I believe in compensation. Get your money. However, what I am saying is, going back, is like, when you talk about like this idea, is like, I am talking about a model that I prefer based on what I believe is most liberating, what I believe will bring us all up, right? I have no interest in being at the top of something and other people being destitute or wanting or needing. Like, to me, like, there's so much in this world that it's asinine that anyone ever goes without.
Exactly.
And so I'm just not interested in anything other than that. And you said something earlier when talking about that, it reminded me of, building together and like having the leaders, like, you need to force this this equal playing field, or where maybe like the phrase that I've been using is from a developmental relationships framework from Research Institute, but this sharing power, right? You have to You have to force it. And I know what some people were thinking, or maybe thinking, because it hit my brain, is like, okay, but I do that, but like people still aren't da da da. Like you can't make magic happen. Like you
Right.
can't make a magic wand and make people do things. But that's why, again, values are so important when we're hiring and bringing people on.
Yeah, I
Like
was just about to say that.
it's
Yeah.
it's a, it's
You've
a
got to build, you've got to build
Yes.
it in.
It's a bit
Yeah.
atypical
Yeah.
in that, like, a lot of our questions are values based, more than we even ask about what skills you possess, more than we even ask about like your education. We're asking questions that are about, because our values at Community Schools of Lakewood, like, which are pretty akin to my personally how I walk with life, but like being student centered, right?
Yeah.
We value teamwork, and especially leaning into hard teamwork, because teamwork is hard. But if we say we value students, then we're going to lean into teamwork even when it's hard, even when we know we need to do teamwork with people who we know are harmful or hurtful. Now, mind you, to a degree, I don't want to just put that out there. But like, because we still be out there and talking about people and coming for folks in places of power who are causing harm. But what I
Sure.
mean is, like, if people are not the best people, we still got to do it for our kids, because that's what's best for our kids. With equity, impact, measuring our impact, right? Intentions. These are my words, not CIS's words. Intentions are whatever. Like, cool, great, awesome. I love it. I love that you had an idea, but are you seeing what's actually happening?
Yeah.
Right? It's measuring your impact. All I have to say, like, when you're doing that whole thing of trying to like build up this thing together, right? So that the leader isn't some king per se. Yeah, there will be some folks on your team who aren't with it, but that's why hard conversations are important. That's why values are important, and not just having values, but mentioning and processing and reflecting on your values often. One of our check-in questions with our team that we have on the sheet that they can use, like a guiding sheet we use for our one-on-one check-ins, is like, hey, what are some ways you've engaged with our values that you're proud of?
Yeah.
What are
I
some
like
ways
that.
that you feel, what is one of, or a couple of values that you feel like you need to grow in, right? And it's just constant. It's constant. And so, yes, there will be bad actors. Yes, there will be people where you are doing all that you can and they are just not on board. But let's talk about it early. The way that I like to say it, and maybe it's a little kitschy, is like, hey, this might not be for you. And you know what I want for you? To be where you want to be and what's going to be best for you. It seems like this might not be a best fit for you, and you might not be a best fit for us. And I wish you all the best wherever you go.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're just not vibing.
Yeah.
Right. And and it sounds like sarcastic a little when I say that. And that's kind of just trying to be funny. But I'm serious though.
Yeah.
And then the growth opportunity for me, because I feel like I had that ethic for a while. But the growth opportunity is then not turning that person into an enemy, not turning that person into somebody negative where now you're talking
Right.
crap about them because they made that decision. It's like, nah, like, it's okay. People can just disagree on methods and move on to different paths
Exactly.
and still be okay. Still be cool.
That is so cool.
But yeah, culture is fickle. And you mentioned culture earlier. And what I want to say is there's some things in life where you have to make decisions or it'll stay and be stagnant.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Culture is not one of those things. Culture is, I wish I had the word, but it is not static at all. It is always going and always morphing, always changing. It is like trying to, like, I don't know if you guys have had like oobleck in your hands. Like, if you just let it sit, it'll just fall through your hands, right? It'll just fall all the way through. But if you like keep it moving, right, it'll keep its form and it'll stay in your hand. Culture is so fickle that if you don't work towards it, if you don't always add to it, you're gonna negatively affect it. And so culture is a juggling match, and that's how that goes.
And it really is. And I think that people don't understand that part of culture because they do think that it's just a thing. And, but you're not, you have to touch it. You have to be watching. You have to be doop, boop, doop, nope, doop, come back up, boop, boop. But I love that you have really leaned in to the values portion of it. And, whether that's at work, but I'm imagining that that's been also personal, as
Tons.
well. And so, when you're speaking, whether it's a public speaking thing or whether you're to your teams, you're literally giving voice to ideas, right?
Yeah.
So how has developing that skill shaped your identity and your ability to advocate for change, diversity, or community?
I think that when you find yourself in the front, I'll say it that way. When you find yourself in the spotlight, right? When you got the mic in your face or a spotlight in your face or you're on a stage, people are listening.
Yeah.
And I think that I've always taken that very seriously in that like people are listening. And for me, it sent me into my brain of like, okay, so man, if people are listening, it matters what you're saying.
What you're saying, yeah.
Because for better or worse, whether, I know we all have those thoughts. We're like, I don't know why the heck I'm up here. They can have anybody else up here, but you are. So if you are up there, taking that seriously, and I think that having those opportunities, really, I don't know, it really puts forth, a message of, for me, like in my head, I think, it really put forth a thought of like processing through the insecurities, right? Processing through the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Processing through I know there's people in this room that know more about this subject than I do.
Right.
I know there's people in this room who have maybe lived more. Man, I know there's people in this room who, I don't know, maybe the other part too, the other angle, who vehemently disagree with anything I might say.
Sure.
And I think that when it comes to giving voice to ideas in that way, in any sort of speaking role, I think I just take it seriously in that, like, for me, like, I have the privilege of having a lot of experience on stage, and a lot of experience in front of mics, and a lot of experience writing out things.
That's true.
And then delivering them very badly.
Oh my God.
Doing it well, the whole gamut.
The whole thing. You've grown
prepared.
Yes.
I've gone up super prepared,
Sure.
and I've had just a ton of practice.
Yeah.
So I have the privilege of when I do take a mic or I do step on stage to have time to process the other things. like, man, okay, and I think for me, what ends up happening is I'm just like, just be honest. Be honest as you can be.
Yeah.
Be humble. And in that way is kind of like sandwiching like my thoughts and ideas with like, hey, this is just what I know. Here's what I've come to understand. But being willing and open, and probably not on the stage, because that's typically not how it works. Right. It's like, it's not gonna happen on the stage. I haven't had to deal with hecklers before. But like afterwards, maybe being willing to accept other ideas or pushback, and critically think through things.
Yeah.
I think that's a skill I had to gain and learn. But I think that's what kind of the opportunities being in front or in the spotlight has done, is taking that responsibility seriously and wading through the insecurity, which can be so hard because sometimes insecurities can be debilitating.
Oh, 100%.
But I will say, I think you have helped me with that in my life, to where I think I can confidently say, and people in my life who love me can confidently say, like I've had people be like, what, you get scared or nervous or insecure? I'll be like, yeah, just like everybody else.
Yes,
but I think that I've been equipped with this thought of like, well, here we are now. So, and I think that's how I get through it, is like, well, for better or worse, we here. So let's just go ahead and get it done. And I think that's what I try to do. I try to be honest. I try to be open, listen to feedback, critique, and criticism, process it again with the people that I love, process it against my values, and then move forward. I think that's my thought.
People who are willing to be honest with you and all that. So leadership philosophy, we're about to close it up here soon, but because I could keep going. How would you describe your leadership philosophy today? I know you've talked a lot about that, so you don't feel like you have to repeat parts.
No,
but
that's okay.
What parts of your identity as a leader are non-negotiable, and which parts remain fluid and evolving?
Man, that's so hard, because who I am, I can be very didactic. I can be very like black and white at times. I can be very, you know what it is? Because I sit and ponder this stuff all the time. I'm a very like, I get caught in like semantics in my own brain. I love words and what different words mean, and like, trying to use the right word. Like in whether it's interpersonal relationships or communicating out in professional settings, I really want to make sure my words are exactly what I mean to say.
Okay.
So when you talk about like leadership philosophy, I think about like my brain. I go, okay, I try to be I'm a very decided personality.
Sure.
Like I think that's what I would say. As I've gotten older, I'm not as necessarily black and white as I used to be when I was young. But I am still just as decided.
Yeah.
But what I've grown in over time is like willing to adjust.
Yeah.
I'm decided based on what's presented before me.
Sure.
But I'm willing to still hear new things.
Yeah.
And if the new things I hear change where I land, cool. But also swimming in nuance. I love nuance.
Okay.
I love being able to understand that, like, hey man, yeah, I believe this, but like also like this can be true. Also, this could be true. Also, this could be true.
Right.
Also, this could be true.
Right.
So when it comes to, can you rephrase the question again for me?
Sure. Hold on. I switched the cards, y'all. What parts of your identity as a leader are non-negotiable, and which parts remain fluid and evolving?
Right. Which is why got me into being didactic and nuanced.
Okay.
The things that are non-negotiable, I think, ironically, I've gone through a lot of, just personally, a lot of big things, a lot of change, like we all do, but like a lot of like world shaking things. And I'm just like, have like flipped me upside down on my head. I'm like, what am I even doing? And so what's really cool is through all of it, seeing things that are stay through. And I think the things that that coincide with my leadership philosophy that also are like part of who I am is truth, right? And I think all of us probably want that. So like, it's not like, this is just Jordan thing. Is like, I really want to be truthful and honest and earnest in all that I do.
Sure.
And so when I lead, I want that to be there too, is I want that earnestness and honestness and truth to sustain. And I saw in previous places that I was a part of that go against people who were leading, right? I was instructed to not be as vulnerable. I was instructed to withhold my opinions and withhold my thoughts. And still, like, yeah, you don't need to share your opinion on everything. Right? Yeah. Like, don't. Like still use wisdom and like, you know what I'm saying? If we're talking about certain things and you feel like it might cause harm or hurt or undue duress or friction, yeah, you ain't got to go there. But like I remember being instructed as a young man, like a young boy, like 18, 19, 20, 21, like, no, like keep it close to your chest. Don't be vulnerable. Don't share your feelings. Don't share emotions. Keep it tight, because this, that, and other thing. And I remember never taking the advice. Yeah. And I'm grateful I never did.
Yeah, I'm glad you
because it ran against what you, it ran against how you raised me. It ran against how you raised me, right? But it was honestly just typical toxic masculinity bullcrap.
Sure.
And like, well, you got to show that you're strong, And what I have found, and you know what, I'm gonna stay here. What I have found is it takes so much more strength.
Yes.
It takes so much more resilience. It takes so much more risk to trust and be vulnerable with people.
Thank you.
Talk about like this false idea that the idea of being emotionless, which is not being emotionless.
It is not.
Being emotionally suppressed or emotionally repressed or emotionally disengaged or emotionally immature is not strength. It's really easy to do that.
Yes, you just.
But what can I tell you? What pays off more, which is a lot harder to do, is engaging your emotions.
Yes.
Is to share those emotions with other people. As a leader, I'm not even just talking about in my home, especially in your home. But like at my workplace, like we are talking about hard things, and I'm like, here's how I feel about this show.
Yes.
And it's just me. How do y'all? And what it does is provide a space for vulnerability. And what I tell people like whether I'm working with them or my family or friends or in other spheres is like, you ain't gotta.
Right.
And it hurts and it takes risk. And when we trust and we're vulnerable, like it does cost us potentially. It could be very costly. And I think that's why we don't, is because a lot of us have experienced how hard and hurtful that could be, but it's still something I'm not willing to negotiate.
And you
with.
watch other people who do live life that way, and you see what happens to them, and you don't want to do that. And I think, some of our experiences together, there were some people who we watched like crawl back into themselves and just hide, like really, from all of the things. And, and so then you just hope that people realize, like, I promise you, I know it feels like you're going to be throwing yourself in the fire, but it's gonna be the thing that you're wanting that you can't name yet is on the other side of living in that truth, living in that vulnerability. Truth is hard, even when, like we talking about our grands, right? Just like, hey, we always tell the truth, even if we might get in
Her
trouble.
grands,
My
children,
my grand,
my sister,
yes, even though we might not, it might be hard to tell the truth.
Yeah.
The truth may not seem like it's going to serve you in this moment because you might actually get some form of punishment or whatever you want to call it. Things might not go well for you for a second because you're telling this truth. But I promise you, things will go worse if you develop a history or develop habits of lying.
Honestly, and I think to kind of put a button on my whole like leadership philosophy thing, I was tied to my personhood. I think it's like, being earnest and honest and truthful, being vulnerable with people in your sphere of influence. I think the other part is trusting them. That's really hard to do. Like, a lot of people are scared to trust the people that but like, my thing is like, if you can't trust the people you're leading, then you're wasting your time. What are you doing? Like, and I don't mean that degrading, but like, part of me, because a lot, if you see me like, what are you doing? A lot of times it's because I've already said that to myself.
Yes.
It's like, what are you doing, Jordan? Like, because if you don't trust the people that you've got on your team or you're or working with in your life or living within your life, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, then you're not doing it right.
Right.
And that, like, you either need to recalibrate yourself or start to reassess who you got. But like, trust the people that you have. And then other things I'm not willing to let up on are, and this is just a position just within my own brain and perspective, is like, I will never let anyone's positionality, title, ability, race, economics be a barrier for me receiving information or learning from them.
Oh, 100%.
And it's easier said than done. And this is why you need to check your biases and learn what your biases are, right? And then, so biases are a really big one. What are your preferences? What do you lean more towards? What do you like? What do you usually balk at, scoff at? What do you usually draw towards? What's your default? Like, and figure it out, because you do have it. I have it. I have a category of things that I am actively if people carry these identities or these traits, or if I hear these words come from people, or if I see that hat, or if I see this thing, then I'm going to just be having to work a lot harder in receiving what you got to say.
Right.
But that's a commitment I made to myself, is like, no, I don't care what it is. I need to be willing to hear, and willing to listen and willing to learn. And I want to put it out there too, a little caveat of like, look, if somebody is super harmful, right, I'm not saying you have to give them equal time.
Right.
Not at all, or equal consideration.
Yeah.
But and some of you need to run and close your ears to those people for your health and sometimes for your safety.
Yes.
But for me, what I do is I'm like, I'm gonna hear you for a second, I guess, and see if anything is coming from, but not as a way to validate a person necessarily. But selfishly to go like, do I need to adjust or learn something? Do I need to prepare for something? Do I need to apply something? But then another thing just came to my head, which I think was really important, and then I lost it. So it's fine. You guys just tell me. What do you think? What am I not employing that you need to employ, or that I need to employ? What am I not employing? What am I thinking of? I just value people, and I think that if anything, I just want to get away from hierarchies. I think that's a big one. Is I want to just get away from hierarchies. I spend most of the last 15 years of my work with students trying to fight against the adult-child hierarchy.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jordan, advice for our listeners, right? For someone listening who feels stuck in constant motion without pause, what's one practice or mindset shift you recommend that they try?
I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
And use the method that you just described at the beginning, because I think it's really, really effective. Okay. In that pausing to breathe, pausing to negotiate, pausing to innovate. I think that is, in a matter of other words, what does it, what's done it for me is pausing to breathe, right? Is carving out And I think that I use that word intentionally, carving out space to be able to pause and breathe and just collect yourself, not trying to solve anything yet.
Right.
Just
100%.
where am I?
Mm-hmm.
How do I actually feel
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
things? And that's a hard question to answer. It's an
Yes.
easy question to say, but it's a hard question to answer because sometimes you're talking about the most precious things to you.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's about your spouse. Sometimes it's about your
Mhm.
children. Sometimes it's about family. Sometimes it's about your job, which is important to you, where you
Yeah.
live,
Yeah.
friends,
Mhm.
yourself.
Yourself.
Is how do I truly and earnestly feel? We don't have good practice at letting our most honest thoughts
Mm-hmm.
sit.
Mm-hmm.
And exploring that, right?
really
But the
don't.
exploring is next, right?
Yeah.
Like just sit, carve out space, dude. Like I remember in 2019, like I went on like a weekend. I left my family at home. It was just me in a room for 3 days by myself.
Right.
Because I forced it, like, because I was dying on the vine, bro. Like, not literally dying. I need to be careful, but like, so much of my personhood and who I was,
Yeah.
and that ethic that it just ripped out, like my dignity. It done its job, and I was cooked. I had nothing else to give, and so I took that time and I sat and I just breathed and I collected, like, how do I truly actually feel? And I do want to say in that step, from my experiences, there's no like one time where that happens and you've done it.
Thank you. Yes.
It's like
it's continual.
It's continual. Like you do it
Yeah.
and you might get X far, right? And maybe you do it and you're like, man, I don't even know if I've made any progress. You did
You
because
did 'cause you stopped.
you
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah,
You start because you're starting to at least just build the habit of stopping
Yes.
right first. And then but then yeah, carve out that space to just feel, just think, let every thought come through. If you have any rules in your head that say, well, that thought's not allowed, break through that and
Yeah.
let that thought go all the way through and see what happens, see where it lands. Be honest about how you feel about yourself, people you love, things you hate, things you don't like, all the things, let it all come through.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the advice I would give is do that and be honest, because it's so hard. It's easier said than done because I had blocks in my brain that I didn't put there that stopped it from like earnest and true thoughts from coming all the way through.
Wow.
And then they did. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do with them now?
Right.
That's where you get to the next step, right? Of like negotiating with it.
Yes.
And like, all right, now that they're all out there and you felt it and you're not judging those thoughts.
Right.
You're not saying that's a bad thought or that's a good thought. It's like, but these are things that exist in my head. So here we are. Then you negotiate with it. And then you do another hard thing, but a good thing of like, okay, I feel this way. What do I want to do about that feeling? Is that feeling rooted in truth or evidence? Or is that something that I've just been thinking for a long time? And actually, I don't think I think that for real. Or actually, I think I feel that stronger than I realized I feel that.
Right.
And then you negotiate. The negotiating part, at least the way I interpret it, is like you make decisions. And so a lot of those could be scary decisions.
100%.
Really scary decisions. And I think one thing I want to encourage people to do is sometimes scary decisions are a lot of times, majority of the time, scary because you don't know what's on the other side.
Yes,
it's new.
it's unknown.
And it's so tough. But like a lot of times, decisions that are good for you take a minute.
Oh gosh, yes.
And sometimes
so
a lot
please
of
be graceful to you,
is
merciful.
I don't and be like, man, I don't know if I made the right decision because things aren't working out the way that I want to right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, sure, but invest in it. Take time. Keep digging. And if you're really, really thinking like, I don't think this was it, check in with those that you do trust.
Yes.
Right. Maybe it's a therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe like whatever it is, check in and maybe like, hey, am I doing the right thing? And hopefully you have people that are like, yeah.
Yes, especially if you've opened up and told them where you're trying to go, what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Or maybe you got people that are like,
or what do you want to see?
I don't know, right? And then you just decide like, or talk through that, and then, man, making those new decisions, right? Making the ones that are scary, that are like, all right, I'm gonna do this thing and do something different than you've done it before. Yeah. And I think the only advice I would have outside of that is just be good to yourself. Yeah. Be kind to yourself. Yeah. Things are so hard. We are all so spent. And every day more and more and more is being demanded of us. We're seeing the idea of what even liberation, what human dignity, what human worth
even looks like. It's supposed to be
So
like being
true.
broken down every day in the
Every day.
media, breaking down via our government, breaking
Mhm.
down via sometimes toxic or harmful people you keep in your life, or the
Yes.
people that have been placed in your life.
Oh,
And I think that I'll end it with this. And I don't even know if it's the most relevant for leadership per se,
It
but I
doesn't have
think
to
in
be.
my life is always just, I don't view it all segmented. Like it's for me, it's just all just one big
All
pot.
to-
It's just
yes.
all one thing. And so for me, it's, I want people in my life who truly love me and who want who are willing to see me get to the places I want to be, willing to see me thrive. And there is no identity, no DNA, no title that you may have that guarantees that you're going to be that person.
Right.
Which is so
Right.
hard.
That is.
Because we have, sometimes it's family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's people, other people, friends, I mean,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
And I think family's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
In that, like, if those aren't the people, those aren't the
Those
people.
aren't the
And
people.
that's just me. Not everybody's got to share that ethic, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But I guess what I'm saying is, I only got one life to live. After that, that's it. So like, I'm trying to make sure that while I'm here, bro, I'm making positive change for my kids, for the other kids in this world, for the adults that are still going to be living.
Yeah.
And if people are going to ride with me and help me be a better person in doing that, so I can be more effective in that positive change for people's liberation and dignity,
Yes.
then that's what I'm gonna keep around.
Yes.
And if you have a title attached to you that might be also attached to our DNA or lack thereof, and you are harmful,
Sure.
and you are a person who is causing abuse or harm or hurt, then I'm sorry. Like, I hope you grow, but I ain't gonna
Yeah.
be here for it. And
That's
just because
true.
I call you a certain title does not guarantee that we have to be in a relationship or in concert or
Yeah.
or that I gotta give myself to you. And so part of that advice is don't give everything you got. You only got so much to give. And recognizing that if you got 70%, give that 70. If you only got 40, give that 40.
Oh, that's so good.
And don't
Yeah.
let the people, and I did not coin that, that's Aaron Jones. If you haven't heard of her, look her up.
Yes.
In that, like, I don't know. I just think that's what I would do, is like, the people you have in life is so important. And we go through enough to have people, and I'm not saying that you can't have people in your life who you walk with through hard times and like they are growing. It's, I guess for me, it's like, hey, like, not all growth. I think that everybody deserves opportunity to grow.
Sure.
I don't gotta be around for everybody's
Correct.
growth.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
And so just be kind to yourself.
And for every aspect of that and what that might look like, and help them see, and yeah. I mean, and sometimes because of those relationship dynamics, DNA, non-DNA, whatever, sometimes with those come certain implications, and they can ride out in a good way for a long time, of such, you know what I mean? In that, like, oh, cool, we ride or die. This the crew,
Yeah.
And other times things do happen that you might have to actually pause and reflect, like, let's sit down and look at the value system here.
Yeah.
And it's not about always your values suck, mine don't. It's like, these are my values, and how does this work out when we come to a point of difference, and what decision am I going to make in that when I get to that point? So I love that you stated that. You guys, Jordan Jones, like, can you see why he needed to be the first guest? And in all honesty, I mean, yeah, I don't pull the mom card too often because I don't have to. But if I had to, I'd be like, boy, you coming back. You coming back. And so we talk about lots of things,
Tons.
lots of subjects. This felt like more than one, but it really was one subject. So there are things that we could talk about, and I would love to in the future have you back.
Yeah.
To join us again. But thank you for joining us. This is just a taste of what you will get with the podcast. And I'm so excited for you to hear from more of our amazing guests that are coming on, these leaders. I'm sitting here interviewing people and realizing I know some awesome folks. Okay. And I'm so glad to be here with you. And you guys have a great one. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Dynamic Pause with
Thank you.
Coach Angie. Okay.
Na 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 na.
When they closer, take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent.